Hey gang, it's DrBossKey, and today we're gonna go through basically how to set up kind of a poor man's random select for music. Very awesome shout outs to Rephlex in the community. So I posted a question because I was cracking my head on this. I was like, how do I do this? Because I wanted to basically, every time you start the overworld map, I wanted to select a different piece of music. And I tried random, and I tried abusing enemies. I tried abusing score, and I couldn't quite get it to do what I wanted because I'd have multiple selections. So I posted the question and what I wanted to do to Sunny in the community. And Rephlex actually popped up and he said, hey, I hacked together a system with that would randomly select between 4 items, but a dedicated select random item option would be far better. How the system works. In the video, I'm hitting the space bar for each time to replicate the starting a level. Enemy blue ball spawns with a random facing direction from a wave menu. Ball has its path and then travels on in a random direction. And I didn't know that we could set random direction for an enemy path. So that's one of the keys here. It was awesome. The ball would be hidden blank PNG because you can basically make a fully transparent enemy so you don't have to see this. You can also put this outside of your inside of your camera wake zone if you have that and not inside the camera. So that's what I plan on doing as well. 4 trigger boxes set to active when the enemies go in the zone. Each trigger is connected to a different sound file. Would need to shrink down the ball to make sure it didn't get 2 boxes at once. Yeah, it's a little bit fiddly here. This comes with a full disclaimer. Basically, it is possible you can, in the diagonals, you can shrink your collision, but on occasion you can either get 2 at once, or you can just decide not to deal with the diagonals. But I'll show you that in a second here. Now, each time you start the enemy balls, we'll move in a random direction, overlapping a random box, trigger, and sound each time. Yeah, so and here it is. So I was taking a look at that. So you can see basically his setup, right? And then real quick, yeah, so he goes in to show enemy spawn point, random direction, and I'll go with that with you. So very, very awesome, cool shout outs. Thank you, Rephlex. I think this gets us to where we need to be. So let's just take a look at what we wound up doing from our side. So just to walk you through it. So we have basically a little tiny enemy that I scaled down, and I set the collision on this enemy to almost nothing. You can see it's just very, very small. It's so small you can't actually see it. That's how small it is. But it's basically this little piece on the enemy itself. The enemy here is he has waypoints. So I also found that if you turn on your grid, in terms of a little pro tip here, so preferences, grid and snap. So show grid, I have grid spacing at 256 units, rotation snap at 5, scale map 1, translate to 3D snap 3. So sometimes turning on the grid map really helps. That's kind of what I set it to. And so I use that as a way to set essentially the collision area. So what we have basically is the enemy here. There's his one spline in his waypoint, and it's just one here. I set I set the speed to really fast. That way we don't have to wait as long. You can set it to your own preference. And then every time we go into the editor mode, you can see it's right here. So just maybe for purposes, I'll show you this. So you can see it moving. So we're just doing the same thing. So I set each of the trigger volumes. So I went with the 4 major directions. Each one is a music track, right? So you can see they're all connected to their music tracks, which is totally good. So, and then on the collisions, on the major directions, I expanded the trigger volume to be enemy goes into the zone. And then width, I went with 5.6 and height 5.0. So each one of these are the same. And I did my best to sort of align them into the corners a little bit. You got to watch out, it's a little fiddly. That's why it's nice to have the grid snapping on. And then in the corner bits, I made smaller versions using the blue line as the guide. So just in the case that we get one version, see, like here we had just this corner because it managed to perfectly cross between this collision right here and this collision. So I left a little tiny space there. And it's a bit fiddly. It's a bit fiddly. But worst case scenario that happens for me sometimes on occasion, and it's now 1 out of like 99 usually, ish. I can get 2 triggers at once, but we're really close. So, okay. So let's see. That was the main pieces of the setup. Again, for me, I think what I'm going to do is I've got the camera wake range. Where is this? So I've got, yeah, so I don't think I need to go over that so much there. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically, you can go into, I can go into the player object here if I want, and then go into the enemy selection box if you want. So I'll show you the guys this as well. So this is a nice little hack trick. It's one of the ones I've used as well. So, all right, so go into enemies. I have basically a dummy image in the sprites. So also a nice little pro tip for you. If you use an underscore for things that aren't actual enemies, but they're technically enemies, but for things you don't want to see mixed up with all your normal enemies, so you can use an underscore and that will sort them to the top of your enemy box, right? And what happens is inside the game box itself, it actually sorts them to the bottom. As you can see, I have pacifist trigger, enemy music trigger, enemy trigger, etc. So and if you go into music enemy trigger, I'll just open that bad boy up. And then once you have it all in the way that you want, you can essentially, let's see here, we'll just add a new layer. Oops, wrong, I don't want to add a new image. Wrong. And then what we'll do is we'll just, as easy as this, we'll just turn off that. So now it's just a fully transparent enemy. Make sure we dump it back into it should be in the sprites, so that's good. And turn it to PNG, right? Super PNG is what I'm using. In this case, enemy trigger, enemy music trigger, our music enemy trigger. Boom. All right, cool. I'm gonna replace that guy right there. Transparency is set to yes, clean transparent on. And we'll flip back over to the game. All right, and now you can tell there's no more enemy because it's invisible technically. You just have to remember you have this, and there we go. We have our selection logic, and of course, a couple caveats, right? Got to make sure you don't have any other enemies going into the zone. That'll trigger those, of course. And again, it doesn't have to be necessarily this size. You could scale it down, and then put it in in basically your camera wake zone. So it's this yellow line. In this case, the camera is set to both visible, and you can see here I have basically, this is the camera wake zone. So I could technically move that out here to the other side of the world and do that, but I think I'm fine in this case. Okay, again, thank you very much, Rephlex, for the cool tip there. I hope this was helpful for everyone. Thank you very much for following the channel and hitting the subscribe button and your questions, and we'll see you next time.